These are 15 games that I think are essential to every collection. Check it out. Hey y'all, welcome back to 9 to 5 Gamers, and today is another Top 10 Tuesday as always. And today's Top 10 Tuesday is going to be a little different. We're going to do 15 games, and I'm going to rattle through them real quick, but these are the games that I think belong in everybody's collection. Whether you're starting a collection for the first time, or you are a seasoned gamer and you need to start, getting a collection together. This is the top 15 games. I love all of these games. As a matter of fact, all of them are in my collection, and I'll be pulling them out so you guys can see that. But without further ado, let's get into the list. But before we do that, always got to remind everybody, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section. What are some games you think are essential to every collection for every board gamer out there? But if you want to support the channel, don't forget that we have a Ko-Fi, a Patreon, we have a membership here at the channel. You can just become a member right there in that little button that says join. And if you don't see that button, but you do want to support the channel, try looking at it on a computer. I don't know why, so that seems to work in case you have like an Apple phone. Sometimes the Apple phones don't show that join button. But let's get into the list. So at the top of my list, my number 15 is a game called Things and Rings. This has become an essential in my collection, and the reason why is because I think that like all the games on this list are games that I have played them with my group, and this is a game that my group and other groups that I've played with always want to play. Like we always have to play this game when people come over, or when I'm having a game night. They're always looking for this game, and that's because it's really good. So everybody's gonna get like a hand of 5 cards, and each card has like a thing on it. It could be like a microphone, or a pencil, or a forest, or a dragon. Just random things. And it has the words written, dragon on the top of it, or whatever it is. And basically there's like a secret rule that one player will have. They'll have the secret rule for like each ring, and the yellow ring is the word, so it'll have to do with the spelling of the word, or how many syllables it has, or anything like that. You might need a little minor bit of English grammar training for this one, but if you can remember those things, everybody has Google if you don't, in case you don't, or ChatGPT will help you out with that. But the yellow ring has to do with the word itself. The blue ring is the attribute ring. It has to do with the item and what it's like made of, or maybe a feature that's on the item. It might have holes in it, or has stripes, or is bigger than a human, something like that. And then the red ring is the context ring, so it has to do with more so what the item or thing is useful for in like society. So it might say is really good, you'll see these a lot in an office, or you'll see these a lot in a house, or is useful, or is dangerous, right? Like it'll tell you something about the object. And so people just start putting things in rings until somebody gets rid of all the cards in their hand, and then that person is the winner. And then afterwards you discuss what all of the rules are, which is always really fun, because people are always like, I don't know what this ring is, because they're like, first you put this, and then the cool thing is when you put these rings out, they make a Venn diagram, and it creates spaces between rings where it's like, hey, this could fit in both rings, or this can fit in all 3 if you put it in the center. It's a really good game, man. Like the first time I played it, I was like, meh. But then like as I began to play it more, I was like, wow, this game is really good. So that is Things and Rings. Next on my list is a game called Monikers. This is a party game, which I think every collection needs like a party game. I think this is the best party game that exists, just because it plays with, it's kind of infinitely scalable. Like you can play this with any amount of people, and it's like charades. But the cool thing about this game is that you're going to get like a deck of cards. Every person is going to get like a handful of cards, and they're going to pick like maybe 4 or 5 depending on how many players you have. You may only want people to get 3 if you have a lot of people, but they'll pick like 3 out of like 10 of the cards that they get. They pick 3 that they like. We put them into a single stack, and we play with those like 40 cards the whole game. And so you're going to do 3 rounds with those 40 cards. First round, they're allowed to say whatever they want about the card. Second round, they're only allowed to say 1 word about the card. And then on the third round, you can only act out what's on the card. You can't use any words. And so you do 3 rounds of the same cards. So it's like, we know what's already in the deck. So how can I make this easier when round 1, you got to pay attention for the clues. Sometimes you'll get these inside jokes. Like one of the words was like a bird or something like that. And then, or it was like owl. And then a friend of mine was just like, caw, and he made like a noise, and everybody just after that, it was just the inside joke, right? Yo, everybody lock in, caw, and like I don't, because it went from owl to caca, or it went from, oh, this is a bird that, flies at nighttime, and it's like, oh, owl. And then the second round, it was like, caca! And then everybody was like, okay. And then third round, it was like, they put up like the binoculars for some reason. And so now he was like, come on, guys, lock in. And so it just creates funny, like, things. I know that's not funny to you probably, but for us, it was hilarious to see, especially the person that was doing it was a little more on the shy side, so it made us laugh. But it was really funny because I just think it creates great camaraderie, it creates great relationships, it creates great memories, and also creates those inside jokes that make your friend group just that much more fun. Monikers, great charades game, great party game, scales well. Next game on my list is a game I think every collection should have. Everybody should have a copy of Love Letter. I looked at the thing and I was like, wait, this is the Bridgerton version of Love Letter. I don't know if anybody's into Bridgerton, but I don't know why the theme of Bridgerton fits Love Letter so perfectly, because it makes more sense than the actual game of Love Letter. But the essential, I'm just gonna kind of lay it here. The essential idea of Love Letter is such a quick, easy game. You can play with 6 people, and everybody gets a card to start. And your goal is to have the highest numbered card, which is the 9. In this case, it's Penelope. But in like the regular version, it's the princess. And so the idea is that you're trying to find you're trying to figure out who has the princess card so you can knock them out of the round so that your higher card can win. And so every card is numbered from 9 down to 0, and each card has an ability. The ones allow you to guess what a player is, and if you get it right, you knock them out. There's other cards that make you discard stuff. There's other cards where you can draw 2 cards, and it's just really cool. Like, your turns are so simple. It's you have a card in your hand, you draw a second card, play one of those cards face up, and do the ability. Done. Like, you don't have to be a genius to play this game. It's super easy to play. Plays with 6, and it's fast, quick, and you can get multiple rounds of it done. Love Letter is always a game that people want to play at my house, and I like the Bridgerton one, but if you don't like Bridgerton, don't get this, just get the regular Love Letter. But there's like 1,000 of these that exist. My recommendation is this one or the regular version of Love Letter that comes in this little pouch, just because these are upgraded. Some of the older copies only play with 4. I have the Batman Love Letter, which is really good, but you're never going to find a copy of that because it's like out of print and very, very expensive if you want to buy it secondhand. But it's a good game, and it's like $15. You can find it anywhere. I love it. It belongs in every collection. Next up on my list, I don't have it because I don't like this game. And I will stand on business that this game is not as great as everybody says it is. However, everybody loves this game, and I have to be objective, okay? I know that this is subjective, but I think objectively, this is an amazing game that everybody loves, and it should be in everybody's collection. I don't have a copy because I can't stand this game. But I'm not going to let my subjective opinion get in the way of objective reality, and it's just that Wingspan's a great game. Like, I can't sit here and lie to y'all that Wingspan's not good. Wingspan is fantastic. I don't have a copy, but I think I'm going to buy Finspan. I know that there's like all this drama about Finspan, so if you're watching this video and you have no idea what I'm talking about because you're just starting your game collection, Wingspan came out, and then they made something called Wormspan, which was about dragons. Then they made another one called Finspan, which is about fish. And everybody's just like roasting this game. And for me, I'm enjoying it in the comments section, just watching everybody. Like, I'm just eating my popcorn, chilling like Michael Jackson. But it's just, to me, it's funny, all of the rhetoric and all the stuff that people are saying, all the insults that people are hurling around. And I'm just like, at the end of the game, we have like 50,000 of every type of game. I don't know why people roast Wingspan, but I don't like Wingspan, so I'm okay with it. But Finspan, I'm probably going to buy that game because I hear it's a lot easier to get to the table, a lot easier to play. But who knows? But if you have never played Wingspan, Wingspan is basically this engine building game where you have like a little apiary, not an apiary. Apiary is for bees. What is it called? Aviary with a V. Apiary is a very different game. Aviary, you have like an aviary, and you put birds in your little aviary, and you'll trigger their abilities. They're like little cards that you play out into this little tableau, and then you trigger all of those cards, and then they give you abilities and resources and stuff like that. It's really cool. It's interesting. I can't not have this on the list, but as I've said before, I think this game is way overhyped, but it is a very good game. I'm not gonna deny that. So, Wingspan. take it or leave it. All right, next up is a game called Survive the Island. This is actually a remake of an older game. I just think that every collection needs a copy of this because it is literally the meanest game I've ever played. Your intention in this game is to escape an island, and you have a bunch of your little people. There are like 5 different colored meeples that you have, and you put them on the island, and you just try to get them off of the island in the center to the corners of the map where there's like these little escape islands. And every person that you get to escape of your color will have a point value printed on the bottom, and that's how many points you get at the end of the game. But at the end of everybody's turn, they roll a die, and that die has a monster on it, and you move these monsters around the map and make them eat people. It's hilarious. Not for the people who are on the island getting eaten, but it's a really, really fun, easy to pick up game. It looks great, and I love this new version that they created, and I think this is easy to find. It's not super expensive. I think this game retails for like maybe 30-40 bucks. It's not expensive, and it's just a really, really fun 5-player game. It's quick. It's not like a super overstay its welcome game, and it's just violent, and people love it. And I love games where there's a lot of take that in it, where you can just mess each other up, because those games are just fun. Now, if you have a bunch of sore losers in your group who don't know how to get eaten and then be like, why are you targeting me? Then don't play this game with them. Don't even buy this game. If the people you play with have a bad attitude, first of all, get new friends. Second of all, no, I'm just joking. Don't do that. I think that everybody deserves to be at the table, regardless of how mean they are. But, you know, I'm a forgiving person. So, anyway, that's Survive the Island. Amazing game. I think everybody should have a copy of that. Next up on the list is Ticket to Ride. I have the 15th Anniversary Europe Edition, which is beautiful. Chef's kiss. It looks amazing. It has like every single expansion for the Europe one, and it has painted miniatures for like the trains. But basically, Ticket to Ride is just a game where you're building routes on a map of like Europe. This is for the Europe one. For the America one, it's a map of America. But you're building routes, and you are trying to fulfill these little contracts. It's like, hey, I need a route from, you know, California to New York. Right? So you have to build a route of trains all the way up to from California to New York. And if you can do that, you'll score whatever points are on that card. The way that you do that is by set collecting little cards with different colored train cars on them. And if you get, you know, the amount that you need to build the routes, for example, if there's a route that's like 3 trains long, then you need 3 trains of any color, but you have to try to get the same color in order to do that. So it's really fun. It's easy game. Again, I love playing this game because it's super simple, and this game is not as mean where you're cutting people off. This one has like these little stations that you can put out so you can borrow people's routes and stuff. A little nicer, but I love Ticket to Ride Europe. I think everybody needs a Ticket to Ride in their collection. Doesn't matter which Ticket to Ride it is, just get a Ticket to Ride. And just like Ticket to Ride, my next one is Splendor. This is Pokemon Splendor. You can't get this. You can only get this in Korea. It's because I'm a giant nerd and I love Pokemon. But really, there's like Marvel Splendor. Any Splendor will do. Just have a Splendor in your collection because it is a cool game where you're collecting chips and trading them in to buy cards. Those cards will now discount the cost of other cards that you buy in the future. And pretty soon you have like this little engine that you've built where you're just getting cards for free. And the first person to get to like 16, 18 points, something like that, is the winner. And they're like these little lords or whatever that love, you know, gems that you're trying to impress. In Pokemon, you're trying to get the legendary cards and things like that, but they provide stuff for you. They provide resources. That's why I like this one a little bit better. And it's just awesome. This game is phenomenal. And as soon as you can get to 18 points, you win the game. Unless somebody has a turn left and they can pass you up. But I love Splendor. Everybody needs a Splendor in their collection. It's super good. Next game on my list is King of Tokyo. King of Tokyo is a game that I think everybody needs. I have the King of Tokyo Dark Edition, as you can see here. King of Tokyo Dark Edition is good, but the regular King of Tokyo is great. The reason why I like this game is because you can play this game with 6 people. It is a dice chucking game, and I think you need one good dice chucker, and I just think King of Tokyo is just the most consistent and solid, and it's not super heavy. I think that if you, anything that should be essential to a collection has to be something that's not too heavy, because then I'm like, I don't think everybody needs that, because if it's super heavy, not everybody's into heavy games. So I think that if you're looking for a good dice game, King of Tokyo is your game. And it's just like King of the Hill style game. You enter into Tokyo and you get points while you're in there, but people can hit you to try to take you out, because if they hit you and you take damage and you want to leave, you can leave, and then they step in and take over and gain points. You can win in one of 2 ways, and the way that you win is either by getting to 20 points, or if you smack everybody to death and everybody dies and you're the only one left on the map. then you win. So those are the two ways, but it's just really fun when you're rolling dice and you roll like, oh snap, it's like, hey look, if I roll all 6 hits, I'll literally knock 3 people out of the game, and you actually do it because you always get 3 rolls. So it's like I rolled 3 hits, there they are, and then you're like, I'm gonna roll the next ones. Oh, I rolled 2 more hits, 1 more roll. Oh, I rolled my 6th hit. You're all out of the game, right? Like, it's just really fun, and it's so fun to just beat each other up in this game. Again, can be a little bit mean, so if people take it personally, maybe not the game to play with them, but I think everybody should have a copy of King of Tokyo because it's that stinking good. Next game on my list after King of Tokyo is a game called Harmonies. This has been a new game this year that has just been rocketing up all of my lists because it's just so easy to play. I think that if you want an alternative to this, Cascadia would be that game because, again, objectively, Cascadia is an amazing game. I think so many people love it, so obviously that's a game to consider as well. But I personally like Harmonies more than Cascadia, even though they're kind of similar games. But they're different. They're not exactly the same. I think people have them in the same vein, but they're not the same game. But you have like a little habitat where you're putting these little round wooden cubes that are nice and chunky, and you're putting them into this little panel in front of you. It's a little habitat that you're creating, and each of those little discs that you collect, the wooden discs, they're all different colors. They give you points. They score points very different ways. Forests score points depending how many forest tokens you stack up. Mountains have to be next to other mountains. Savannas need to be in 2s, and stores need to have like 3 different types of terrains around them. There's like a bunch of different ways, and waters has like the biggest, longest river. You score that way. So those are ways to score points is with the wooden tokens themselves, but each turn you're allowed to draft an animal card, and you create a specific habitat for that animal that matches the pattern on the card, and every time you create one, you get one of those animals and you get to place them. They're like these little cubes. You get to place them in your park and score points from the card. So if you can get all of the cubes off of your card and into your habitat, you'll get like 18 points for certain ones. Some of them will give you like 17, 15 points, and it's really, really good. So there's 2 ways to score. You score with the cubes, the little circles themselves, and with the little cubes you put into your park. It's beautiful. Artwork is gorgeous, and if you pay attention, like there's like this pattern where it's like a little yellow disc in the center, and then it has like a green disc on the outside of it, and it's like this is a bee, and it's just 2 discs, and you're like, oh, this is for bees. And then so you create one on your map, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, I can actually create just a second one here and put a cube. Oh look, I can create a third one, and then after you finish it, there's a stinking flower on your map. And it's like, oh my gosh, the thematic little twist with that was so cool. I love that. But Harmonies is great. Beautiful artwork, beautiful, well produced, and it's not expensive. Again, I'm trying to get you guys to save some money, man, and Harmonies is a cheap game. Next up on my list, not that cheap, but Heat, pedal to the metal. I think everybody needs a racing game. I think this is the best one, hands down. There's a lot of other ones that I think are a little bit maybe simpler, but I don't think this game is complicated. This game could have made my last list that I did, which was like the top gateway games. These are games that like I think are great to start a collection with, like if you're trying to like just start getting into it. But I think that Heat, once you've learned how to play a few games, Heat is not that hard to play. I think it could be gateway. It's just that the instruction manual I think is a little bit heavier than some of the other ones I had on that list, which you should go watch if you haven't seen it. But Heat is an amazing racing game. You play cards and you shift gears. So it's like whatever gear you're in is how many cards you could play. So if you're in first gear, you could play 1 card. If you're in second, 2 cards, 3, 3, and 4, 4. So you want to try to get up to 4th gear, but you can't just shift from 1st to 4. You have to kind of build up there or just put stress on your engine to try to get up there. And as you play cards, the more cards you play, the further you can go on the map. And that's how you race, because everybody's trying to pass each other up. But the more cards you can play, the faster you go. But then when you get to corners, you have to slow down drastically. You have to downshift the gear so you play less cards, because you might go over the speed limit and you might burn out around the corner. It's so thematic. It's so well done. There's an expansion for it already that adds modules. There's a cool like deck building element where you could like add cards to your deck, that little deck of cards you start with. It's really cool. It feels like a deck builder, but it's not exactly a deck builder. It is a phenomenal racing game, probably the best racing game there is currently. And you know, there's like Flamme Rouge, Dodo's Riding Dinos, Camelot, Jamaica. A lot of these are good. Quest for El Dorado. These are great racing games. I just think Heat is the best one. Best artwork, best production value. It's fantastic. Great looking game. That is Heat. All right, after Heat, another game came out this year or last year, been rocketing up the list, is River of Gold. I love River of Gold. I think River of Gold is like the lighter version of Le Havre, which is an amazing game by Uwe Rosenberg, but very heavy. I wouldn't recommend that everybody get that for their collection, but River of Gold I would. River of Gold is so easy to teach, and once everybody gets used to it, it's just a fun experience, man. And every time I've played this, even if I lose, which, by the way, I haven't. Oh, no, I've lost once. That's a lie. That's a lie. I've only lost once when I've played this game, and I've played this game like 20 times. But I really love this game. This game just clicked for me, and I just thought it was so easy. I've taught this to so many different people, and I've had nobody get lost. Maybe I'm just a great teacher. Maybe I'm not. Maybe this game is just simple. It's not complicated. You roll a die, you choose what you want to do with the die. You can either build a shop and then have your little boat go down the river or whatever. That's the second option that you can do, is just move down the river, gain resources, and then you're just picking up and delivering stuff for these cards, these little contracts that you have. Easy pick up and deliver game. Very fun, beautiful, well produced, golden inlay on everything. Like when you look at the, I don't know if you can see it on there, but look at the golden like design on everything. It's gorgeous. I love this game. It's a really, really fun pick up and deliver contract fulfillment game, and I think everybody should have a copy of it. Like seriously, I'm not saying it's like best game ever. It's just great. Okay, next game on my list is a game called Ethnos, and I have the second edition of this game. If you have the first edition of this game, fantastic, that one works too. But the thing I love about this game is the speed of the game versus the player count. Like this is a 6-player game, and it doesn't slog. Like it doesn't take forever to play. It's like your turn is draw a card or play cards from your hand. That's it. And the cool thing is that when you play cards from your hand, you're playing bands of like either the same color or cards from the same tribe. So it's like they can either have the same symbol or be the same type of card. Like in the new version, they're like animals. So it's like I'm playing 3 cranes. They're all different colors, but they all are cranes. Or you could do, well, there's no cranes. It's like owls. I'll have like 4 owls, or I could have 4 purple cards, right? Or 4 red cards, you know what I mean? So in Ethnos, when you play these bands of cards, the bigger the band is, the more points you're going to score for playing it. But you also get to place a control marker in one of like 5-6 regions, and whoever has area control, whoever has the most area control of that region will score the points that are on that region. And you play through 3 ages, so each region will gain a set amount of points, and then the next time you do the next era, the next round, the points will increase, and so you'll get even more points on the next round for that area. So it's area control, but it's like this real cool set collection game. And then the cool thing is, like, when you play cards from your hand, you're collecting and you're like, man, that's not the card I needed, but I'll put it in my hand. Let's see, I'll draw a card from the deck. I didn't need that one either. Oh, there's the card. This person put some cards down. Oh, perfect. I got 3 of these. Well, when you play those 3, whatever's left in your hand, you put them out in the market for everybody to take them from you. So it's pretty cool, because like once you play a hand, you have to get rid of all your cards, and there are some cards that mitigate that, but it's just area control set collection. It's so fun. It's quick. It's not a quick game. Like you play this for like an hour, but it's a really, really good game. A lot of smack talk happening with this version. I've seen a lot of people that are complaining about the like, man, the first one was better because the cards had the printed thing on it that tells you what each ability does, and in this one you don't have that, so you have to constantly be looking at a card. I grant that, but I think that once you've played a game enough, you'll understand what it does. But I do agree that the symbology on this is not as easy as the original. The original, just the card told you what to do, what it does on each one. But the artwork was ugly, and I think that the original Ethnos is just not the prettiest game, and I think this one's way nicer as far as production quality, and this one's a lot cheaper. I think the original Ethnos is very difficult to find, and you have to get it like pretty much used. I don't think you're finding a new copy of that, and you're paying a decent amount. This one's like $30 or like $35 when I bought it, so they did a good job reproducing this. I've seen some of the complaints. I don't think those should keep you from buying this game. I don't think they're that bad, but it's still a really, really good game. I love Ethnos. Next up on my list is I think every collection needs a 2-player game, and I think Sky Team is that game. Sky Team won Game of the Year. It is a 10 out of 10 in my book, and I just think that every collection needs a copy of this because it's so easy to play. It's a dice rolling game where there's a pilot and a co-pilot. You guys are trying to be cooperative and fly this plane together. And so you're rolling dice and putting them into this little mechanism you guys have between you, which as you're placing dice, you have to put them in a specific way, but you don't know what the other person has, and you guys can't communicate. So like, in order to balance out the plane, we have to put 2 equal numbers, but sometimes those numbers don't equal. Sometimes the other player doesn't have what you put, so you put a 4 down and you look at them and they're like, and they put a 3, and then the plane like tilts, and you're like, no, it needs to be straight. So like, you have to have the plane perfectly straight, and you have to engage a whole bunch of mechanisms before you land in order to land the plane safely. And as you're doing that, the timer is kind of like ticking down, not like it's not a digital timer, but like a little card that ticks down like every round. And you have to make sure everything is set before you land the plane. A lot of tension, a lot of fun just interactions with the person you're playing with. There's cups of joe, like a cup of coffee that you can spend to mitigate your dice rolls. So there's dice mitigation. Like if you have, you know, a dice that you can't use, you can just put it in the cup of joe area and just get a cup of joe for the next round. It's really, really fun. This game is to me perfect. I don't think there's anything wrong with this game, and there's so many expansion modules for this to make the game more difficult. I love Sky Team. Amazing game. Next game on my list is another 10 out of 10 banger that I think every collection needs, and that's Space Base. You could go with Bad Company, which is like essentially the same game, just kind of reimagined for like a bank heist, if you don't like space theme, but Space Base is great. It's just a game where you have like this little, what would you call that? A spaceport, and it's like a little wooden thing that goes in front of you, or cardboard thing that goes in front of you, and it has like 12 ports where you can put different ships, and the ships are corresponding with that number for rolling the dice. So if you roll 2 dice and you roll a 3 and a 1, that's a 4, then this ship will give you, the ship in dock 4 will give you some kind of benefit. Then you hand the dice to the next player, and when they roll, if they roll one of those numbers that you have a ship docked in, then you can get bonuses. But of course, it's not just the one you have docked, but the ones that you've sent out, which anytime you send out a ship and you get a new one to replace it, you put it upside down and put it on top, and then that will provide bonuses when other people roll the dice, which you want to do because you want to be getting points every time somebody rolls the dice. Every time somebody else rolls the dice, you need to be getting points, and you're just trying to get up to 40 victory points. Whoever does that first wins. This game's a decent amount of time, but it's really, really fun, and it's cool because you're locked in the whole game. There's nobody on their cell phones when I play this because everybody's like so locked in. They're like, what did you roll? You rolled a 6. Dang, man, I needed a 5. It's like, oh, he rolled a 5. I get this, I get this many points, and this and that. And then on their next round, when they get the dice back, because they've gained stuff from everybody rolling, they get a tremendous amount of points as well. So it's super good, man. Space Base is amazing. They got a ton of expansions for this if you want to expand it. I don't think they're necessary. The base game alone is amazing. So, and last on my list, a game that everybody needs. You don't need this version, but I just wanted to take it out because it's so pretty, and I finally got it in. I love you, baby. This is Castles of Burgundy. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, Reggie. This game is like a game that I neglected, I think, for like years. I went to Dice Tower East. I bought a copy of like the original Castles of Burgundy for $5. Ugly, disgusting. It doesn't look good. And I put it on my shelf. It stayed on my shelf for like maybe a year. And then after a year, they were relaunching this, and I said, do I want to back this? It looks really pretty. And I was like, do I even like this game? Let me play it first. So I took out my copy and I said, I'm just going to stop ignoring this game. It looks heavy. It doesn't look fun. I don't know if I'm going to like it. I played it immediately in my top 10 games of all time. Immediately. I don't care. It pushed everything down because this game is phenomenal. I love Castles of Burgundy. I think every collection needs a copy of Castles of Burgundy. Even if it's a $5 cheap, ugly version, you need it because Castles of Burgundy is great. In this game, you are drafting these little hexagon tiles, and every time you take a tile, you're going to roll dice, and the dice will tell you which tiles you can take, because you have different little depots, and it's like, I rolled a 6, so I can take one of these tiles. Each tile does something different and scores points in a different way. You take it and put it in the side, and then on the next turn, when you roll a die, the 2 dice of your color, each die will let you take an action. So you get like 2 actions. Sometimes you can get more than that. But you can either take a tile with the dice, or you can place a tile with the dice. And so placing the tile will let you place it on a specific place on your map. And bro, this game was way more simple than I thought it was going to be, way more fun than I thought it was going to be, and again, it is a 10 out of 10 game for me, and it has made my top 10 games of all time, and I just think that everybody needs a copy of Castles of Burgundy. Even if it's the ugly version of it, you can get the pretty version. This is the special edition. There's an upgraded edition where it's like the 20th anniversary. I don't remember how many years this thing's been around, but man, this is like the Stefan Feld's magnum opus. I don't remember how to say that. But this is like his greatest game that he's ever created. I love this game. I constantly want to play it, and it's such a easy to learn game, and this game is so well produced. I love it. But anyways, that is my 15 games that I think every collection needs, and if you disagree with me, feel free to put that in the comment section. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. I'd love to hear what yours are. I'd love to hear what kind of games make it into what you think everybody should own. And if you like this video, man, please like this video. Show the support, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications so you can know whenever I produce videos. I do a lot of top 10s. I do a top 10 every week. I am the self-proclaimed king of the top 10, but there's a lot of people who do top 10s. But thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you guys later. Peace out.